and I'm gonna watch a scary video. Hold up. Let me get comfortable real quick. Oh, never mind. I'm already comfortable. Y'all have your lights off? No, y'all better turn them lights off. Like, we are not. Bro, we don't get scared, all right? Especially me. Like, I never get scared. I ain't never scared. Ain't never scared. Never scared. Let's go.
When I was 15 years old, my parents decided to go visit my uncle. I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay home and hang out with my best friend Alex, since we lived in a quiet neighborhood and there was little crime happening there.
Okay.
My parents allowed me to stay home and have Alex over. My mom left a note on the fridge with all emergency numbers, and my dad told me to call him if anything happens.
I don't think. I. Hmm. Hmm. I thought it was 911 and then just. Okay.
I assured them that everything's going to be fine. Me and Alex were just going to play video games and have some pizza later. I called Alex, and he came to my house 15 minutes later. We played UFC on my PS4 for 2 hours, and then had some pizza. After our meal, we just sat in the living room talking about random stuff. Eventually, we started talking about girls.
Hmm.
Alex mentioned a website where you could talk to random people called Omegle. He also
Oh my
said that he
god.
talked to some girls on there, so we decided to go on Omegle and try our luck. For the first 30 minutes, we didn't get matched with any girls. We were starting to get bored. And just when I was moving my mouse to close out of the webpage, two girls showed up on our screen. They were about our age, maybe a
Oh
little
my.
older.
That girl.
Damn!
That girl right there. That one right there. Her head is so big. Oh my god. She just ugly. I don't understand.
We started talking to them, but they were just typing.
Oh
We
my
could see that they were trying to
gosh.
talk, but we couldn't hear them. We told them to turn on their microphone, but the girl said that they don't have a microphone.
That's kind of
We
sad.
continued talking to them.
How you
We
have a
said that we
camera
were
with no
home
microphone?
alone, and so were they.
Bro, what is wrong with
They
this
said that
dude's
they lived in the
teeth? Why are
same
they
city as us,
yellow? And
and
why
the
are you
same area
missing
as Alex
some?
and I, but we've never seen these girls before.
My bad.
We said that we were home alone, and so were they. They said that they lived in the same city as us, and the same area as Alex and I, but we've never seen these girls before. I thought this was odd because our city's pretty small. After 15 more minutes, they said that we were cute and that we should hang out sometime.
And then
We were
oh my
stunned.
god, look at how
Girls
she
usually
built.
don't want to hang out with us, so Alex
It.
gave them a Snapchat username. As soon as he typed his username, the girls disconnected. We were really
Look
bummed
here,
out. We
ugly.
didn't even get their names. So we just turned off my laptop and went back to PS4 to play some video games. Some time passed. We were still playing video games when Alex took out his phone. He had just received a snap from someone called AnnaXOXO99. He opened it, and it was a picture of the two girls we met on Omegle earlier.
Oh my.
They were
Oh my god. Oh my. How many stories is in here? I forgot. Oh, 6. Okay, there are 6 Omegle horror stories. Forgot to say that. And, never mind. Never mind. Never mind.
walking on a street, and the caption said, "Can we come over and hang out?" Alex immediately looked at me. He didn't ask me anything. I already knew what he wanted, and I said no. He wasn't happy about this, but he understood at the same time. Alex texted them saying that he can't come over, and that they should hang out some other time. A couple of minutes later, the girls responded, "Can we meet at the park then?" So Alex asked me if
Oh,
I wanted to
no,
go to
no,
the
no,
park
no,
with
no. It's
them.
nighttime.
It was only 10 minutes of walking from my house, but I still said no. At this point, Alex was a little frustrated, and he said he was going with or without me.
Alright, fine.
Maybe
Go
he
die
was
by
right.
yourself,
Maybe I
like it
should go.
says.
Am I really going to pass up on an opportunity like this? I looked at my watch, and it was 10:30 p.m.
Oh my
So
god.
it wasn't that late, and my dad's friend lived right next to the park, so I said I'd go with him. But if anything seemed strange, we would immediately go back to my place. Alex agreed. He sent the girls a snap saying that we were on our way to the park. They replied that they were waiting for us at the children's playground. We got out of my house and started walking to the park. The whole
Okay.
walk there, I was thinking, what if something goes wrong? We don't even know those girls, and what if someone else was at the park with them?
The whole time they didn't bring they didn't bring any weapons? Okay.
I didn't want to say anything, because Alex probably would just say I'm paranoid, so I kept my thoughts to myself. After 10 minutes of walking, we got to the park. The children's playground was a little deep into the park, so I asked Alex to ask them to come to the main entrance of the park because we were already there. Alex just said, "Dude, come on," and texted them that we were at the park. After a minute or so that we arrived at the playground, there was no one there.
Oh my god,
I asked
they
Alex
did.
if they responded to our last snap, and he said no, they just opened it. We waited there for a couple of minutes, but there was no sign of the girls. We were all alone in that park. I told Alex that they were probably just messing with us, and that we should just go home.
It's time to leave.
But Alex
It's
wanted
time
to
to
stay a
leave.
couple of minutes more. A minute
Leave.
passed, and that's when we heard someone walking behind us. We turned
Yo,
around,
run.
and there was a guy dressed in
Oh my-
black,
Kick and run. Do it. Pow,
standing
and
behind a
then
tree
run.
looking at us. He had a creepy smile on his face. I said to Alex that we should go home, and that this wasn't a good idea. Alex agreed, and we started walking back home. The whole time, I was looking over my shoulder, trying to see if the man was following us. And he was. I told Alex, and we instantly started running.
I should have
Just
been
when we got to
ran.
the park's entrance, the guy grabbed my hand and started
Kick
screaming
him.
in some insane way.
Oh yeah, you get kicked.
I
in
was
the face.
screaming and kicking, trying to get him
Just
to let go
where's
of my hand.
Go?
I was calling Alex to help me, but he ran away. The guy started pulling me back into the park.
He left you.
I was screaming as loud as I
He
could,
left you.
and that's when I saw blue and red lights.
Oh.
The guy must have seen them too, because he immediately let go of my hand and ran deeper into the park. I started running back to the direction of my house when a police officer stopped me. I explained everything to him, and he called my parents.
Sorry.
The police officer took me to the police station to wait for my parents to pick me up. My parents came after about an hour, and the police officer told them what happened, and so did I. My dad asked if they caught the guy, and they said they were still looking for him. When we got home, my parents were glad nothing serious happened,
Hold up.
but they still were mad at me
Hold up,
because
hold
I
up.
left the house to meet
Alright, I may be getting a lot of text messages, but ignore those, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just ignore those.
some girls I was talking to online. They told me to go to sleep and that everything will be alright. The next day, Alex came to my house.
Do not
He
disturb.
was with his
Okay, wait, hold
dad,
up. Oh my god.
and he apologized for running away last night. He also said that when he got home, he opened his Snapchat, and there was no sign of Anna XOXO99. It was like she never existed.
That's because she did.
For some context, I'm a teenage male, and this happened when I was
That's
around
what I'm
17 years old. Back
Oh.
then, I used to see all these videos
Weirdo.
on YouTube about Omegle horror stories and
Oh,
pranks.
that's the next story, alright.
Now, I'm not particularly brave or anything, but if I'm bored, I often find myself going to drastic measures to find something to do. After
Play
thinking for a
game.
while, I built up the courage to go on Omegle. I
No.
wanted to be funny, so I didn't respond to anything or anyone. I then came across this guy that kept saying for me to
Oh my
talk,
God.
or else. And being a
Okay,
teenager,
or
I
else
wanted to make him
what?
mad, so I asked what he'd do in the chat. All he said was, "You should talk more," and then left. I feel pretty proud of myself for being a jerk, but slightly disturbed, so I turned Omegle off to work on some homework due the next day.
Purpose I'm saying, just do this
After
or
a few minutes of
else.
doing homework, I heard my dogs barking, and they wouldn't stop even when I told them to. I figured maybe somebody made a loud noise, or even had a dog whistle. After calming down my dogs and getting back to my homework, I heard the noise this time. Somebody had knocked at my back
God.
door. My back door is gated with a 4-foot fence and a lock. The only way somebody could get in is if they had a key or jumped it. After looking outside for about 10 minutes, I called my dad and told him everything. He told me that when he gets home, he'll look around. I accepted that because he's a doctor and he's got a lot of work to do. Half an hour passes, my dogs are outside, and that's when I hear a thump outside my door. I looked around, and there was a rock with a note stuck to it. After that, I heard my dogs barking at our driveway. The note read,
Are you live?
"I know where you live. I've never been this scared in my life. I just feel lucky to have 3 dogs in my house at all times. Now, I'm not the kind to show emotion or get scared easily.
Nobody fucking cares. Why are you telling everyone like they fucking ass? Is this a classroom? I don't see a teacher. Dumbass. The fuck?
Or get scared easily. But that freaked me out. I'm shaking and on the nerve of calling the police. Was this just one big coincidence? Or did the same guy from Omegle really somehow figure out where I live?
Alright, well that is a sign that I will never go on Omegle.
When my friends and I were
Oh, it's
15 years
23.
old, we went on
That was
Omegle a
short.
lot. I'm sure most of you already know what Omegle is, but if not, it's a chat website that pairs you with a random person for a one-on-one conversation. You can disconnect and start a new chat with someone else at any time. At the time, the website was still in its prime and hosted around 150,000 people online at all times. We liked to mess with people and would completely make up who we were. We were young and had a bad sense of humor. Well, one day, we decided to go on Omegle
Young
and
and
say some
ugly.
very off-the-wall stuff. On that day, we decided to tell strangers that we had kids locked in our basement. For whatever reason, it was comedy gold in our 15-year-old minds.
Yo,
We
I
thought
only
the
tell
reactions
people
would be
I find
hilarious.
weird, and I am.
We maybe told one or two
But
strangers
it's not
this,
true. I don't got a
and they just
basement anyway.
disconnected.
Got an attic.
But then, we connected to a stranger who was either genuinely worried or wanted to play along with the creepy message. We told the stranger our joke for the day. The stranger asked why we would be so despicable and that he would call the cops. We laughed it off and disconnected.
Like, dang, bro, this is a
We connected to the
joke.
next stranger, and the first message that popped
shouldn't
up
do
was
this at all
almost
anyway.
unbelievable. How are those kids in your basement? We were
the-
shocked and disconnected immediately. We tried to laugh it off for a few seconds and connect to another stranger. While we were connected to another stranger, another message popped up in the chat. I'm still waiting to hear about those kids. We decided to disconnect and reconnect one more time.
Bro, calm down.
The last
It's just
message
a
this person
prank.
sent was, I'm still
We
here,
just
and I'm
joshing
still waiting
you,
for your
bro.
answer. Finally, we came to our senses and got off the computer for a while.
Why didn't
I
y'all just
remember
answer,
being so
bro?
worried that whoever that was called the cops on us. Luckily, nothing ever came of it.
Y'all could have just
After that,
answered.
we stopped going on Omegle as much. I still wonder if a moderator was on the site and had a way to keep connecting to us, or if it was someone who was good at hacking. I'm sure what we told that person freaked them out as much as they freaked us out.
He's not freaking out.
Overall, we learned a good lesson, and realized that we weren't as funny as we thought.
Dang, I didn't learn that lesson like a couple minutes
Some
ago.
of you may
Oh,
have heard
God.
of this website called Omegle.com. If you haven't, it's a chat website people go to when they're bored, and it's anonymous. It's up to you to give out any of your information, but you can easily get out of a conversation and move on to talk to a new person with a click. Around 2012, I went on this website a lot as I got lonely, and I've had some nice conversations on there before. I was 16 at the time.
Mm.
This is where I met Emily. She was this funny girl who was so easy to talk to, and right away I felt like we had been friends forever, so I gave her my Skype and all my details so that we could talk again. Pretty soon, we were talking all day, every day for a few
Skype.
months over Omegle.
Skype?
She said she was from Wales, which I thought was so cool. I've never met anyone from Wales.
Wells.
I thought she was the best friend I ever had. We talked about
Thought.
everything going on in our lives. She would tell me crazy stories about the things she'd done with her friends, and we'd talk about relatable girl stuff, and I would wake up to Photoshop pictures of us and cats and some bad pun written on it about us being best friends forever, or something stupid like
God.
that.
Oh, what the? What was
We
that?
texted all the
Did you see that?
time to Photoshop pictures of us and cats and some bad pun written on it about us being best friends forever, or something stupid like that.
Oh my. Their
We
hand
texted
through
all the
their
time,
thingy.
but I wanted to
Laptop
actually
looking
call her or
thing.
video, but she told me she had gotten into an argument with her stepdad recently, and he threw her laptop at the wall and it broke the camera. Right.
Wouldn't it break
Well,
the entire laptop?
I thought maybe she can text on Skype, and I'll be on video and voice just so she can see me. Why not, right? When we did, she wouldn't stop going on about how jealous she was of me and told me to stop being so beautiful, and it flattered me. I thought she was gorgeous in her pictures, and it was silly of her to be jealous of me at all.
No way.
Emily was kind of
would
a
she be
clingy
jealous?
kind of girl, as she wanted my attention all the time and would get upset if I fell asleep or didn't respond fast enough. She also started making strange comments about her body, like saying how she thinks she has an ugly vagina and is worried about it and called it a coin slot. And she'd asked if I'd look at it and tell her if it's weird, for which I would just tell her I'm sure it's fine, don't worry about it.
Like, I'd be like, what are you talking
She
about?
said,
Nobody wanna look
I
at
bet
your-"
yours
no.
has sparkles and magic.
No.
I could feel she was trying to get a picture of me.
I'll talk too loud.
I didn't. Don't worry about it. She said, I bet yours has sparkles and magic. I could feel she was trying to get a picture of me. I didn't do it. I changed the subject. Emily would talk about the guy that works at her market and how she had a big crush on him, but was too awkward to say anything. I encouraged her through that time about the guy that works at her market and how she had a big crush on him, but was too awkward to say anything. I encouraged her through that time to talk to him, and eventually she got the nerve and asked him out. The night she told me this, I remember her asking this question out of the blue. If I was a guy, what name do you think I'd have? Suddenly, I had this sinking feeling inside reading this as I realized I never heard her voice or saw her in a video. She could actually be a guy this whole time.
Oh my god.
Could she though?
Yeah, that's possible.
She's just trying to scare me. She tries to get reactions all the time and her photos add up to everything she talks about. I've got nothing to worry about, right? I decided to join in. John? Or I was hoping you would say Jacob.
Oh, then you're a guy then.
But once again, I thought she was just being her weird self, and we moved on to talking about other things. I did tell her she almost scared me though, and she laughed and apologized. One night comes along, and we're talking as normal. She asked me what state I lived in. I told her because I thought maybe she wanted to see what it looked like compared to where she lives on Google or something. Then she goes, "You're only 500 miles from me."
Oh my god.
I say, "No you're not." She says, "Yes, I go to..." I look up this school, and sure enough, it's in Alabama. But you can easily just look for a school on Google Maps, so I thought she was just making stuff up to get more reactions. She says that she fixed her camera, and we can do video chat tonight if I wanted to. I said yes. I was excited. We had talked for 2 months, and I finally get to see her instead of pictures and texts. I get all set up in the living room and call her. She answered, "You know when you feel frozen with fear and time feels slow?" That first second, when I saw him, I thought maybe that's her brother or friend and she's going to move the camera to her. Nope, it's just him.
Hey, yo,
while I'm frozen and speechless, he picks up one of his laptops and signs in as Emily to show me that he's been doing this the whole time.
Why?
He doesn't say anything. He then pulls out a camera and points it towards me. I finally told myself to end the call before he takes a picture. Why did he take his camera out? I don't know, but I try to process everything while my heart is pounding, and even though he may not be near me physically, it was still very creepy and disturbing to me.
Why were you
I pulled myself together and decided to try and get some answers. I wrote him a simple why, and he says, "I was dared to by my friends to pretend I was a girl on Omegle, but I thought you were really cool, so I kept it up. I stopped talking to the other guys though. I just wanted to keep talking to you." Guess what his name was?
I no longer want to talk to you.
Jacob. He was 21, and he's from Alabama.
Wow.
I couldn't understand how he kept up with his fake life of Emily every day and even had pictures to make it all seem so legitimate. It was almost like Emily was real and died that night. This girl in these pictures, who were they? The strange thing is, sometimes I feel like she's still out there, but I know she doesn't exist. I'm a very young female in the 6th grade.
Oh.
I was naive and
Number
stupid.
5.
I kind of still am, so
It's
please don't
5?
leave me a lecture about
This is
internet
6.
safety. Truth is, I know it all already, but I chose to do this. I'm aware it was a dumb decision, and this will never ever happen again. Okay, so let's begin. I was bored over this past winter vacation, and was on the tablet I got for Christmas along with a Bluetooth keyboard. But I didn't want to go to sleep. I remember recalling watching many prank videos on YouTube on this site called Omegle. If you don't know what Omegle is, it's a free website with a safe PG version for 13+-year-olds and another inappropriate version for inappropriate purposes. For some pedophilic reason, guys still prefer to go on the safe version to show girls their anaconda. This site keeps you anonymous for safety purposes and doesn't recommend you give out personal information. Being stupid me, I figured, hey, might as well talk to strangers at midnight. What could go wrong?
Everything.
The answer to that question is a lot. I learned that the hard way. This was the second time in a row I've used Omegle. On January 2nd, late at night or early in the morning, I went on, and in my interest box I entered 5 sauce. It was quite a few chat logs in when I saw a girl who said she was 13. I already knew this person was a simulator. I should have left, but I didn't. Basically, this girl was asking personal information. I faked it all except for my age, shamefully. She said, "Cool, I'm 13. I'm only a year older than you." She kept urging me to show her my naked body, as she did too. Of course, I refused, and of course, this creepy pedophile got mad. Apparently, this person had been recording me the whole time on his computer. He played it on his screen, leaving me to watch myself drinking out of my water bottle, an image that can easily be photoshopped into something really inappropriate. I remember watching it and telling him that he was sick, to which he simply responded no. Being the smartest person in the world, I didn't leave the freaking chat.
Like these.
Instead, I got my phone, continued making talk with him, and recorded him threatening me. He told me that if I didn't show myself indecently, he'd take the recordings and edit it in an inappropriate video. When I said no, he told me I had 2 choices. 1, to show myself nude, or 2, to relieve his bathroom fetish. Because I didn't respond, he thought I didn't know what it was, and so he told me. I didn't respond once again. So he left, leaving me with the message, "I guess you made your choice then. Bye." At first, I thought absolutely nothing of it, telling myself, he's not smart enough to do that. But the more I thought about it, the more I freaked out. I cried silently, as I didn't want my dad and his friend to hear me next door in his room. I posted the videos on my private Instagram that I wasn't allowed to have, my only followers being people from my school that I knew. I asked for help. Luckily, only a small amount of people were online, like 2, so I spared myself some embarrassment at school, as only 1 person from there saw it. The other was my 13-year-old stepsister. Val, the girl who saw it, took a screenshot of it and messaged me, asking what was wrong. I told her, and she said I should call the police. Hesitantly, unfortunately, I had to call the police. The dispatcher was very nice, but when the police came, the lady that was there was not. She lectured me, and then she left. She said she was unable to make an arrest as I was allowing him to do this to me. Like I wanted it or something.
Bro,
of course, I showed them the videos.
Smack them ugly glasses up your
My
face.
dad said he was disappointed, and long story short, I was grounded from everything.
Wow.
I barely just got my tablet on Easter after 83 days. My phone and broken iPod are still taken away.
Wow.
I hate Omegle.
This is what happened with...
A year or 2 ago, I was one of those guys that went on Omegle. Number 1. A year or 2 ago, I was one of those guys that went on Omegle looking for sex.
No.
So yeah, I was a bit of a creeper. I used to chat and then talk on emails and kick, normally ending in sexting or something like that. I made sure that they were always under 16, as I was 15 at the time. 16 is legal where I am, and I avoided getting others in trouble. One day, I found someone on Kick, and we kicked it off, pardon the pun. We chatted a lot. I found out she was from where I lived, and I was overjoyed at this point. At that time, she told me she was 22, or around that age. Now, I think I may have been the biggest retard possible, and I said I was 16. We talked about meeting for a while, and one day she talked about sex. Now, I never used to send anything except shirtless, which to be honest isn't impressive at all, for obvious reasons. This time, I did decide to send more private pics. I got pics back and it looked pretty genuine, so we kept going on. We chatted more, and one day she dropped a bombshell. She said
she's
she was actually in a
22.
relationship,
How?
but they were looking at a threesome.
Oh.
Now, as a horny
Yeah,
teenager,
that's a no.
I took whatever I
That's
could
a
get and said
no.
okay.
What?
It was at this point that she apparently showed and shared the emails with her boyfriend. I got lots of chats about what was going to happen and stuff, and I was pretty excited, to be honest. At this point is where both of
Well,
them
if I was your
both
mom, I'd
asked if
smack
I
you
had
in the
ever
face.
thought or done bi
I
stuff.
smacked that ugly hair
I
off
was
your
creeped
face.
out a little, but simply said no to
Wait.
both and told them I
Hey,
was
I
straight.
mean,
To start with, they said okay, but they kept coming back and asking if I was sure. At this point, I thought I would feel very unsafe and uncomfortable to meet them or even chat, and so I told them that. Now this is where it gets creepy.
a little bit.
I was told to stop, and I got spammed with emails giving me a lot of sexual and normal abuse. I ignored all the emails. I got scared, but thought nothing of it.
Time to make a new
It was
email.
one day when I got texts and missed calls of the same kind of abuse that I got creeped out. I had never given my number to them, nor had I told anyone about what was going on. So it was them. But how? I got texts saying that they were going to send my photo to my parents,
I'm
post
joking,
it to
I'm not
all my
joking,
friends
alright?
if I didn't do what they asked. I was petrified. I was going to phone the police, but I thought I could get in a lot of trouble for that. I asked what they wanted.
It's
Then I
your
found
fault.
out that it was
Why would you do
most
something
definitely a
stupid, you
single guy
stupid-
this whole time.
Bro,
He said if I didn't perform gay sex on him, then
What?
he would do what he threatened. At this point I said, I'm underage, I'll have you arrested for child pornography. He didn't believe me. I also mentioned it was blackmail. He then threatened to hurt me, to which I replied, you don't know where I live.
you should never
He
say
then
that.
told me a road which I lived on.
Wow.
I claimed he was wrong, but he wasn't persuaded. I ignored everything for a good month. I purposefully
Month?
took long routes home from school and never went out by myself, ever. I locked everything in my house when I was by myself.
You mean all the doors?
I deleted my email, chopped up my SIM card, and made sure I never had long hair again so he wouldn't recognize me.
Oh.
I lived in fear for
You went
around
buff.
half a year before I got over it.
Alright,
I only told a handful of close friends for safety. It just shows you can't trust anyone online. And it's not wise to be
really?
on there for the purpose I was on there for, especially
Why are you
when
rubbing
you're
your mouse on your
underage.
keyboard?
No one really understands just how dangerous social media can be.
Really?
It really is such a different world where anyone can be whoever they want. I was 16 years old at the time that this story happened. I was always on MySpace. You know,
MySpace.
typical teenager stuff. I'd
Not
get a few
really.
messages
Maybe
here
I'm
and there.
built different.
There was this one kid, though, who would constantly send me messages. I would reply sometimes. Typical hello, what's up, that kind of thing. I thought nothing of it.
Goodbye. Go away.
One day, me and my friend, let's call her Hannah, was walking around the city, per usual. We had stopped in this complex building that was near my house just to take a break. We were sitting on the stairs when some guy came up behind us and said to Hannah,
Hey, do you have a lighter?
God
she
dang.
says no, and he walks away. Then about 15 minutes later, he comes back and then just stood behind me. I start to see in my peripheral vision a hand movement. So I turned a little more around, and I saw his hand in his pants moving up and down while facing me. My heart instantly went into my stomach.
That means you
I started
should
writing on
kick.
my phone in a text to
fight,
Hannah, and I
punch.
said that I think he's touching himself.
Oh
We both
my-
felt stuck. He then sat
Didn't
down next to
we?
Hannah, and he was so close he was actually touching her arm. I pretended to be on the
That's
phone
not
so
her
that
arm,
maybe he
that's
would
her
leave.
back.
He looks at Hannah, then goes.
Is her name Nadia?
Hannah was instantly scared, and she then blurted out,
Ask her yourself.
but I was still
What the-
pretending to be on the phone.
Why she gotta?
About 5 minutes later, the security guard had walked around and had
Oh
then
my
said hello
God.
to us, then talked to the kid. Let's call him Antonio. Hey, what's up, Antonio? You hanging with these ladies tonight? I knew that help had to be written all over my face. Why can't he see it? The security guard then says, well, if I hear of 2 white girls that go missing, I guess I know who to call. At this point, I'm starting to feel more
If I
sick
hear
than I
you
already
might, girl,
did.
don't miss, I know
The
it's
security
cold.
guard then left, and yet Hannah and I are still sitting there feeling more stuck than ever.
Bro,
A
just
few
get
minutes
up
later
and be
after
like, I
this,
gotta go.
one of his friends comes along and then says, "Wanna come inside?" I finally have
No.
enough energy to say no, and that I have to go meet up with my cousin.
Yeah,
As
I
we
gotta
start to
go.
stand up,
Yeah, we've been
Antonio's friend stands up in front of me and then says, "Come on, just for a little bit." I said
don't know you,
no,
bruh.
and then me and Hannah started walking towards the exit, as my house is right up the hill. And what do you know? They both start following us.
Then
We get inside this tunnel, and Hannah says to take off your shoes so that we can run, and that we don't want them hearing where we go. So there we are barefoot, now running like our lives depended on it.
oh yeah, you run
We
fast
get onto my
without
street,
shoes.
run up to my house, go into the back hallway. It was actually so quiet, all I could hear was myself trying to catch my breath, and my heart just beating in my ears. I started looking at Hannah scared, just hiding behind a wall, staring at the glass door, waiting to see if someone would pop up. We did eventually calm each other down. I thought everything was
that she
over
called
until the next
police.
morning when I
What
logged
was
into
that?
MySpace. I had a message from him that then said,
I just want you to know I know what house you live in.
with my street name listed. I then blocked him on MySpace, and I
Oh,
never
change
walked
your
past that
name.
complex ever again. A few weeks later, I actually found out that he was in jail, and from what I know now at 25 years old, he's still in jail. I can only imagine what he did, but I just really hope to never run into him. Well, again, that is.
Oh my god. Oh well, that. Oh
It was-
shoot. All right, well that's. I don't want to watch no more. I think I'm done. Yup.